so on. Yeah, my name is Danish, head chef at Almanak, and here you have the house, the standard from the seaside. So it's a, I would call it a pearl in Copenhagen. It's an old toll chamber or tax chamber when you sailed out to Sweden. So when you came back, you were forced to go through this and declare all your goods that you imported from Sweden. The agenda is a short introduction, a bit about almanak, the history of smurbrauð, and smurbrauð tradition versus innovation, old school versus new school, let's call it that, the classic guy versus the modernist, and then we have a bit of almanak again, the season, techniques in my cuisine, and the inspirational taste of smurbrauð from almanak. That's our little workshop afterwards, when I'll present, I think, six pieces, taste and enjoy lunch, and just go through how we build up each different pieces of smurbrauð. Let's start up. My name is Danish, head chef at Almanak, former head chef at the Nim Hotel, a small luxury hotel here in Copenhagen. I was there for 3 years. I have been at Almanak for 4 months now. Yes, I'm actually the second head chef there. I took over from the old one in January. I worked at the former two-star called Ensemble here in Copenhagen. So I'm classically trained, but all with the basic of, how would you say, the Danish cuisine, or as we call it, the grandma cuisine. My old master was Thomas Hermann, which is more or less famous for his, we call it mormor cuisine, grandma, or probably you would say it in English, who tried to modernize all these Danish classics, what we had when we were kids, what my grandma would cook for me. We tried to take it into one-star food, basically, how to say, perfected the old school and really tried to bring it into the new millennium. And then I was a pastry chef at the Fat Duck for a few years ago. So I've been around, and now I really think I'm back where I do belong, and that's where the mormor cuisine is we're doing, at least for lunch. We're doing slightly different things for evening, but more on that later. A bit about Almanak. Almanak, the restaurant can seat inside 90 guests in one seat. We are able to do for lunch without the outside. The outside is a bit due to weather, and outside we have around 70 seats, inside 90, and on a normal lunch day we do between 45 and 140 for lunch. So if you times that up on a normal day, they eat between 2 and 3 pieces of smurbrauð. So on the really big days, we easily do 250, 300 pieces of smurbrauð. So we are quite busy. And that's from 11:30 to around 2 o'clock. And then the lunch is actually open from 11:30 until 3 o'clock, but from 2 until 3 we do unspecified only, which means the guests are not able to pick themselves unless we are really good, we have a really good day and we're large and all of this, but on the really busy days, 2 to 3, it's only unspecified. And the reason for that is we do a little of pre-cooking the smurbrauð. Some of them we don't plate, but we do the base. We take a piece of bread, butter it up, maybe put some salmon on, just to do the base of it, so we can do, because smurbrauð is all about speed. Lunch is all about speed. So really,
How many in the kitchen for doing these 200 to 300 pieces?
That would be afterwards. Oh, sorry. So we try, I wouldn't say cheat, but we try to help ourselves a bit on the way. Because we are idealists, but we're not stupid. So of course I'm not I don't have 10 smørbrauds jomfruer hired for this, or chefs. So yeah, for this on a normal day, I have actually in my smørbrauð or lunch section or lunch crew, I have 3.5 guys hired. I have one smørbrauð shop, which is a classically Danish. I don't know if you're into that yet, but we actually have an education called smurbrauð, which is open sandwich lady, more or less the way we would translate that. And I have one chef, one trainee, a chef trainee, all my trainees, because the lunch, the smørbrauð is a really big part of us. So all my trainees will have like a 3 or 4 month practice at the smørbrauð, and then they'll go into the hot kitchen or evening service afterwards. So all the new ones go through the smørbrauð section, and then afterwards they go into the hot kitchen. And then I have my assistant head chef, Morten, which is notoriously good at this. So he is actually doing half a day on smørbrauð, and when we get really busy, from now on hopefully, when we do the outside, he will be at the smørbrauð section full time. So that, which means I have 2 chefs, 1 trainee, and 1 oven sandwich lady. 4 guys for this. They are on a 5-day shift, which means they're on a 8 until 4 o'clock shift, 5 days a week. So 2 days, the rotor is actually, on Monday I have 2 guys on, Tuesday I have 3 guys on, because we're not that busy on Monday. So we use the Tuesday for prepping. So I have 1 guy extra on, who basically just prep, mayos and pickles and all these big things. So they have 1 day where they just do a lot of big things, so we can get prepped for the week. And then 2 guys on Wednesday, 2 guys on Friday. 2 guys Wednesday and Thursday. I skipped Thursday. Friday I have 3 guys on again. 2 guys on Saturday and only 1 guy on Sunday. That's due to the evening shift takes a lot of helping out on the lunch on Sundays, because I don't want that many guys in on Sunday. So basically no prepping on Sundays. That's only getting it out, doing the lunch and then again the dinner, because I want all of them to be ready on Sunday with all the mise en place. It's more a cleaning and doing service day. So that's why I want to use the staff for lunch. I want to use them when we're really busy, and that's typically Friday. Of course Saturday, but that's Fridays for prepping. So I have 4 guys when we get really busy, and normally we only have 3. Yes, and they're busy, that's correct. Logistics in my department is that normally when you open a shop, I would always recommend, that's me, I would always recommend, it's entirely in my opinion, that you do the same, how you say, business plan, but you do the same concept lunch and dinner, due to staff wise, especially if you're really busy. But we have done the opposite. So we have open sandwich for lunch, and then we have an entirely different concept at the evening, which means I have a small house, a small amount of space. So the logistics in my department is very much about getting people to work when there's room in the actual house. So my house, or my guys are working from 8, and then the last guys normally leave the house around midnight. So I want the kitchen to be running all the time. And of course, if you have also one concept, it's a bit easier. But so we are really working on the logistics, and we're okay with that. It's actually working. And do logistics during service, for example, is as I said before, is you really want to do a bit of let's say buttering and a bit of the basic on the smørbrauð juice service. So when you're not that busy, you prep all of them from scratch, and then you normally have like an hour or so from, let's say, 12:30 to 1:30, where all my guests basically sit down. I normally have like 50 walk-ins on the big days, and they don't come as I want them. They don't spread out. they're all in the door at the same. And since I have room for a lot of people, we need to be able to cover with that or cope with that enormous pressure. So that's why we do a bit of the cheating, and it's all about, again, how many guys you want in the actual kitchen, and it's all about basically money and staff. So we do a bit of this pre-thing, and it works really well actually, and it doesn't affect the quality of the smurbrauð, which is the most important thing. We only do on the pieces that we know can cope with being in the fridge for an hour before we take them out. Do the last little bits and bobs and then send them away. On the stuff, there's a few that doesn't really bear it. Tartar is not really that good. Some of the softer ones doesn't work at all. So those ones we need to prep as the ticket comes. But then you have some other ones, the salmon or later. It's really good for this. So it's all about tasting and cutting the corners where it's okay, but also don't drop the quality, because quality in smurbrauð is basically the most important thing. And I'll tell you a little about the history later on that side of it. The idea and philosophy about almanak is we want to do a modern smurbrauð. Very important for us that not reinventing, but again a little bit, because there is sometimes when people reinvent things, they, in my opinion, lose what they came from. So suddenly this whole, the 90s fusion kitchen just went out of, span out of control, and basically you put everything in everything, and this is not what we want. We want something that is recognizable. You know what it is, but you don't know what the little things are, and so that's a pickled onion, and these surprises in the actual smurbrauð. But if you order a piece of tartar, you have an idea what you're having, but again, you have no idea the components. So that's more the way we work. Classically, the base, you don't want to spin it out of control, and it's very important for us that people recognize what we're actually doing, but we just taking it up to hopefully a higher level than they can cook themselves for lunch. The philosophy of, I need to take this out, really talking about. The idea of almanak is that you want we want to do smell section. We want it to be, at the end of this year, we want it to be between 60 and 90% eco. So that's just to make it a bit more fun for ourselves. Just want to up it a bit. And then, have I forgotten anything? Huh? Give me 1 second. Oh, yes. Okay. Season orientation, very important for us. It's seasonal. Basically, the season is the most important thing for us. And I'll show you later, and I'm guessing it will be even more for you guys. That if the idea of this is, if you want to take it the almanak way, is that you don't get fluent in a lot of stuff. You want to have local produce. At least that's the way we want it. I hope really you would put your own Icelandic, culinary background into this, because that would be amazing. But we're really working on this local environment. We are trying to use only Danish meat, Danish greens, as lot as we can eco. Just trying really to put all this into our smurbrauð, and of course the hot kitchen as well this evening. But there is enormous. We'll get to that. Get to that later. What else? Planning ahead in the Nordic country. That's the next point of this. Is that when you have the seasonal or regional kitchen, as we have is that planning is actually an enormous amount of work in this that me and myself and Morten are using a lot of time. And it takes a lot of time to build up this relationship to your gross, what we call them, suppliers, because you want them to be able to do a lot of things for you. You want to plan ahead a year, and we have really been using a lot of time, and will be using a lot of time. I'm guessing it will take us 1 to 2 years to really get this almanac wheel going, so we know what we can get from who and all of this. And there's enormous work that we need, that we are really aware of, and I'm guessing you will have just as much trouble, but it's, in the end, the benefit from this is amazing when you're a biodynamic greens producer calling things like the free range lavash is ready, I have it, you want it, can we pickle it, can we do, and all of this is so important for this, because the benefit over the year, you suddenly can pick out elderflowers from last year, we're using them, and actually on a dessert now, pickled in vinegar from last year, we're using them now, just 2 months before the new one actually, blossom. So we always have a bit of the summer, or a bit of the spring, or a bit of fall in the winter. You can really mix it in, and it's amazing this. And of course, it takes a lot of planning, and it takes so much amount of work. But at the end of it, it's amazing. Yeah, seasonality in our kitchen is, of course, alpha omega. We try to use seasonal produce as much as we can. Basically all we can, because we are really trying not to fall into, I was about to say slip into something, and it'll be okay to use, whatever. Let's say celeriac that is like really old in spring maybe, or try not to. Of course, the whole thing about seasonality is that you're really forcing yourself. It sounds stupid, but you're forcing yourself to be a proper chef, because it's been so bloody easy for so long time to get all the stuff that you want. Getting a pineapple in January, or getting flown in from Thailand. It's your creativity is not as it should be, because you can just okay, let's do something with pineapple, or onions, or whatever. You just get it flown in, new potatoes from Egypt or Morocco or whatever. And it's basically, I think it's really wrong. I have done it. We did it at the Fat Dog. It was crazy, got stuff flown in from Thailand because that was where it was, and I was like, something is really wrong with this. And then you try to put the season into, especially almanak. It takes some effort from oneself, that you really need to be creative, and what's now, and okay, maybe I don't want these carrots now, but I need to do something for later with them. Ferment them, or pickle them, or just prep them so you have them whenever you maybe don't have something else that you really need to. Okay, now we need to do something. Do we have anything in the storage? Yes, we have carrots. Okay, let's do something with carrots. Could be rabbit carrots. What do I know? But it's all about this planning, more or less a year ahead. But it's the charm of putting something on. You pickled yourself spring last year. We just used, for example, the ram's onion capers. We pickled them last May, June-ish, and we just used the last one now. So we only have it slip for a month, 1.5, maybe 2, and then we have them again. So it's so giving that you can have these little, this freshness of Spain. You can have it in January. But we'll come back to that later. The history of smurbrauð, just like really quick, because I don't want to bother you with like hours and hours of history of smurbrauð. But the history of smurbrauð is basically that from going from to be a lunchbox in the late 1900s, it went on to be a bit more posh, and these small smurbrauðs, open sandwich bars, and basically building, hvad hedder sådan noget? Bars and værtshus, værtshus. Yeah, really cheeky bars. It went on to be something really posh that the upper class had. These really tall, not tall, but like a lot of things on. Like it's not just like a flat sandwich. Then it suddenly became a bit more posh and lots of mayos and
fresh salad. And that's
fresh
where it comes from. The salads that you see at the classic places.
Exactly.
That was exclusive.
That was really exclusive. That you had fresh produce on. It was just not like rullepølse or the salami or something like that. Suddenly it became a bit more posh, and it went actually like that for the first 50 years of the 1900s, and up until after Second World War. Then you have all of these. I was about to say you had all these fabricated produce. You suddenly had canned meat and all of this spam, all this other stuff. And then suddenly the smurbrauð wasn't really that. It wasn't that posh anymore. It was posh to open a bloody can of meatballs in curry and all of these. And there was only like a few that really tried to keep this, but it went damn slow. And then up through the 70s and the 80s, and again in the 90s, it wasn't really that posh. It was older people who ate this, and we almost, I was about to say we almost forgot it. Like there was only these few guys, the Davidson, they really struggled in the Store Kongsgade. That's really one of the classic places, one of the first as well. They really tried to force this through, and then suddenly in the zeros, in the beginning of this century, something happened. The grandma kitchen came back. Then suddenly we want a lemon fromage again, and we want all of these. We were really fed up, more or less. We were fed up with the fusion kitchen. We were fed up with the French culinary, I was about to say institute, but all of this, and then suddenly, look, we have something. We have all of this around us. Of course, Noma is of course a small forefather in this as well, but Kong Hans as well. They started, picking themselves way before when they started at Noma. We started pickling and all of this around us, and then suddenly it erupted and something happened, and people were like, we have all of these brilliant dishes. We just need to hire them again, not do them as grandma did. And of course, in the slipstream of all of this, some guys said, we want to do open sandwiches again. Omans is a good example of this. He started in 06, something like that, and just try to do smaller things and Troller Snaps again, some of the new guys on the scene. And of course us now, a few years later. But I really like what's happening, and today you see 20 people in the start 20s, they go to smurbrauð. They have snaps, they eat smurbrauð, open sandwiches. And then you're, it's spinning again, and hopefully we can keep up this by modernizing it, but modernizing it all the time and keep up, hopefully. Yeah, just about, tradition versus innovation in smurbrauð. This is one of our pieces, the potato. And you can say that a traditional smurbrauð there is some of the garnish is not so complicated as the stuff we do. We try really to balance it in a different way. They use for the acidity in a classic smurbrauð, we just have a lemon wedge, more or less, So you have a stjerneskud, classic one. It's a piece of pan-fried fish with a steamed fish, fill it up, lots of remoulade, dill, and lime, or lemon. That's it. That's what I would call a classic piece of smurbrauð. Of course, we try to take, of course, the same ideas of how you build up. Again, you need to be recognizable, but again, we need to do something else. Potato is a good idea. That you want to use all of the potato. We use cooked potatoes, we fry the potatoes, we do a crumble on potato excess and a malt crumble, and do another mayo. Instead of just a classic mayo, use other oils, and we pickle, and we use green oils. We use rapeseed, rapeseed oil, and we really try to put. Again, it needs to be recognizable, but you need to. We think it more as chefs than probably open sandwich ladies. They're really classically trained, but see it more as a perfected meal. So you have some crunch, and you have all of these flavors through the whole piece of smell. I just want to put. I just want to say something about that. Of course, the traditional smurbrauð is more about. It's more about a lot on the plate. We are a little less, but a more quality. We use a lot of these. How do you say sensoric? Sensoric. Yeah. In our version of the smurbrauð is that we always want something. You want something soft. You want something crunch. You want something bitter and sweet and salt. And we really want to put all of them in, so it's just not like fat, and then you just have some bitterness or freshness from the lemon mixture. So we really try to build in all of these, so you have the smell, and you have the feeling when you eat a piece of smell. It's okay that some of it crunch, that there need to be, you need to have all of these feeling going in each version of each open sandwich piece. And hopefully when I show you some of the smell, you'll have an idea that it's just not, it cannot just be so. We have outside, when it is available, and when the muscle is available, get it in, get it cleaned up, get it dried or fried or whatever you want to do with it. That's really where, of course you have to have, I was about to say a herb picker or whatever, but unless one is really an expert on the Icelandic culture, but this is where this gets interesting. You put your own fingerprint in this. Of course, use all the stuff and all the stuff that I've sent you, use it as inspiration, but like really take local Icelandic dishes. Like, sweat is a good idea. Can we do something with this and put it on a piece of bread? Garnish it so it looks really, really interesting and new, but still you can say, this is bloody Icelandic. This is the essence of what we want to do, and this is what I really want to inspire you to with the stuff we have that I have brought, is that some of it you have, some of it you probably can interpret your own way and put it on a piece of bread instead. So that was a bit, but again, seasonality, the most important thing. Techniques and flavors in our cuisine. We use a lot of fermentation. You are the expert on this, I'm guessing. I worked with an Icelandic chef back in the days. He had some crazy stuff he did back in Iceland. Something about digging a whole sheep down in the ground and stuff like that. Maybe a bit homegrown, but anyway. Fermentation. I have brought some fermented, hanged ribs, meat from the fillet. It's hanged for 6 weeks. I want to do tartar with that, just to show you. If you like the flavors, it's really hung for a long time, so it's quite mature. But if we like the flavor of fermentation, we should, it's okay to use it if we like it. Of course, there's something about adapting it to your kitchen, and like I won't be able to do fermented meat, in my restaurant, not that much. That's just too much. Like people are, oh my god, it actually tastes like cow. Yeah, it is cow. But it's about can we do hang lamb for a tartar piece on Iceland? Would people like it? Yes, no way in hell, or they will really love it. So it's all about adapting it to your own palates. And do a piece with a dry fermented cut, if we want to do that, or smear the pieces instead of we use. I put it into the manual. Fat we use to spread on the rye bread. If you want to do lamb fat instead, do that. Adapting it to the Icelandic food culture. That is really the essence of this. We use a lot of pickling, and you will see that later. all the stuff that I can, a lot of greens we pickle. Pickle. Quite simple. Some of it we saw a bit before, and then I'll put in the manual a few of these things, so you have an idea, and I'll show you a lot of that when you come into almanak, how we pickle. Whatever basically, and at the moment we are doing a lot of experimentation as well on the pickling, just to see how much we can pickle. Mælkebøtter and daisies. Hedder det det? Kan I huske det?
Ja.
Daisies, flowers, the daisy, the bulb.
Dandelion.
Dandelion.
Yeah,
Sorry,
flower.
dandelion. I love to eat when the leaves are small, like really small, really good. We used them when they were smaller. We used them on one of the pieces as well. They're really good, they're juicy and a bit grassy, but they are actually really good to eat. So we use them. So now the bulbs, just before they come out with the yellow flowers in the morning, we have pickled some. We have picked them and then sold them like capers. Basically the same idea as we do with ram's onion. So it's all about kvaen. You have kvaen as well, right? You call it kvaen?
Kvaen, yeah.
Kvaen, yeah. No. There's small balls on them as well. Try to salt them and pickle them as well. Maybe you like the flavor, maybe you don't, but it's all about, in the beginning, experiment with it. And it's like, can we use this? Can we use these kvaen capers for our sweat terrine maybe, you know? So, and that's where we do a lot of the pickling, and just to have it, and then suddenly you can use it for something. Elderflowers, if you have that, you know, pickle the flowers, the berries, you know, just pickle it. And some of it will be good, and some of it you was like, no, that's not really working for us. But just get that whole pickling. Smoke, very important. We smoke a lot of salmon. We have a juniper berried salmon. We'll try that later. One we actually smoke on our own smokery out at Nordhavn.
We're going there afterwards? Yeah.
You're going there afterwards. That's a nice place, amazing place. So we get our own salmon smoked up there. We have smoked herrings, smoked mackerels, and that's I was about to say, that's traditionally the Danish stuff we smoke on the fish side. Okay, smoked meat, you know. If you want to do smoked lamb, whatever, you know, do it. And then you have it preserved. It's all this preserving it, you know, try not to put it in the freezer and you know, so you want to keep it out of the freezer and then preserve it as much as you can. I know that a piece of smoked salmon can last for 2 years or a year or whatever, but can we just stretch it for months, maybe 2 months? That's, you know, that's all we just try every day. How long can we stretch stuff without compromising? And smoked salmon, I'm not really a salmon guy, but smoked salmon, one of my favorites. Drying as well, we dry flowers, we dry herbs, we dry all of these things. Mushrooms, like all the mushrooms we can dry, we dry them. And then now at the moment, we're going to put a new dish on, actually on the evening. So like, we need this umami of this dish. We know it's a hanger steak, but there's like something going on. There's white asparagus, green asparagus. Oh my God, we have this mushroom. So suddenly we put on some extra umami flavor. And that's a big part of building these open sandwiches as well. I know, at least that's, you know, what we try. We really try these, putting in the bitter, the sweet, the umami in all of them. And of course, at least 3 senses, the smell, the sight. The sight is the most important thing in my opinion, especially on open sandwich, because you need to be, oh my God, is that a piece of bread, you know? You have all seen a piece of salami. You know the salami from the lunchbox, it's boring as hell, but then suddenly you lift it up to something. Anyway, curing, yeah, it says itself more or less. These things we use as much as we can because it's right. And you can put in flavors, you can put in herbs, you can, you know, even, you know, krabbelaks, you know, use the flavors you have around you. Get the wild thyme, put it in, you know, experiment. If you know a really good smoker, you know how to smoke yourself. But smoke them, try to put thyme in, or, you know, whatever you can pick that you say, this could be bloody brilliant. Carve a piece of meat as well, you know. Carve lamb, or, you know. So it's all about, of course, in the beginning, you want to play it safe, but at the end you get really inspired by this, and then just really think about what is good. Can we use this mushroom for this one? In the autumn you use mushroom for the tatar. In the spring you use again the wild thyme or the ram's onions, or if you want to do a version with elderflowers, go crazy with that. But use something pickled, use something you save from autumn in the spring, and in the spring in the autumn. So you keep it in one big pot. Anyway, that was a bit of the presentation. I hope it wasn't too confusing. It's not every day I speak that much in English. But anyway, I was thinking let's go to coffee break first, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if we have a smoke.
5 minutes break.
You probably had a lot of people talking to you the last few days, so why don't we have a glass of water and smoke? And then I'll just set up for a little workshop.
Perfect.
One question maybe.
Yeah, questions. Fine.
About pickling. When you're pickling vegetables for the winter,
Yeah.
you must have a huge storage place. So
Yes.
how is this?
Yes. And that's we have.
Yeah.
We have a big box where we pickle a lot of stuff. We keep it there. But most of it, if you pickle it right, you don't need to have it. We pickle a lot on vacuum bags, because then we can save it for bloody ages. And if we get, if you pickle it with enough vinegar, it can basically last forever. And a lot of it can stay at room temperature. Of course, if you want to ferment carrots, you want them to stay at room temperature as well. So a lot we have in the basement across the road, and of course we have a lot in the actual box. But what is actually, and you will see when you see the actual sandwiches, is that of course meat play a big role on open sandwiches. It basically plays a huge role. So the stuff we pickle is not the number one player on the open sandwich. It's more, it's the garnish. It's the little, what was that? That was pickled. Oh my God, there was some acidity. There was some, the vinegar, the sugar. So it's not. For example, like we have a piece on with celery, celery, which has pickled green tomatoes on. I think on 3 months we've used 15 liters in total packed with green tomatoes. So of course you use a lot, but you don't use 200 kilos of it. It's more these small flavor bursts that you use. And apples, we use a lot of apples. They can last without, so